Hi everyone. This is Izumi Tanaka with Home Green Homes. I have an exciting guest today, Ruby Rose Yepez. She was introduced to me by a dear friend, and what did I know? She is this dynamo in this green building industry. I'm so happy to have you. So let's introduce yourself, Ruby. Ruby Rose is a seasoned building industry professional with 10 plus years experience specializing in affordable housing project. Ruby Rose graduated from Cal Poly Pomona with a bachelor's of architecture. She has gained industry experience through her work in architecture, construction, and sustainability consulting. She holds several certifications, including LEED AP, BD plus C, that's Building Design and Construction, Certified Energy Analyst, Certified Green Building Professional, and the Green Rater. Very impressive. Ruby Rose, as an energy consultant, guided teams to successfully secure fundings and implementing sustainability features required for third-party certification and utility incentive programs. She's certified over 30 projects as LEED or Green Point rated. And Ruby Rose currently supports Southern California Edison as a senior advisor, assisting developers and builders in promoting decarbonization programs and resources. She's very active in the building industry. Currently serving as a planning commissioner for the city of South El Monte and a former board member for U.S. Green Building Council LA chapter, and California Association Building and Energy Consultants. She's a committee member of ICC Los Angeles Basin Sustainability Committee and Professional Women in Buildings, as well as a board member for the Boulder View chapter of Building Industry Association. Oh my God, it goes on and on. Your qualification is so amazing. I'm so humbled. So I know you have a lot of knowledge and experiences in the building construction and all that, but today, because you currently work with Southern California Edison, I really like to address how the utility companies are working with municipalities as well as the governments in an effort to decarbonize and help homeowners basically to realize a better living, right? So thank you so much, Ruby, for being here, first of all.
Thank
And
you,
so,
Zumi.
yeah, thank you. So, can you briefly tell us how different utility companies, such as your company, Southern California Edison, which I am a customer of, have worked with the government levels to create programs and incentivize homeowners to improve their home living through energy efficiency upgrades and, and electrifying.
Yeah, thank you, Zumi. I'm very excited to be here and share this information with you. So Southern California Edison is an investor-owned utility, just like the other three major IOUs in the state. We have PG&E, SDG, and SoCal Gas.
Mhm.
And they are very regulated organizations. And
Mhm.
so we are managed by the Public Utility Commission, and
Mhm.
that's who we work very closely with in developing and establishing programs like the ones that you're referencing that would help support decarbonization.
Mhm.
So before, the big focus used to really be on energy efficiency, which it still is,
Right.
but now the conversation has shifted, the state is shifted, and we're now going to the space and the focus is decarbonization. And
Mhm.
within that conversation is electrification. The way that we're going to fight the climate crisis is by minimizing our carbon footprint and minimizing our fossil fuel use. And
Mhm.
so electrification is the hot topic. Southern California Edison has our Pathway 2045 white paper, which
Mhm.
identifies our three pillars of electrifying the grid and cleaning the grid, electrifying transportation, which now, the governor has mandated that he wants all new vehicles to be all electric by 2035.
Right.
And we have a very aggressive program within our e-mobility team that's addressing and supporting that. And then we
Mhm.
have building electrification,
Right.
which I formerly was on that team And, we're trying to develop a program that would help support that. So we work hand in hand with the Public Utility Commission, as well as with the Energy Commission, in developing these programs. So the 4 IOUs actually have teams within them that's called codes and standards. And those are the teams that help to develop and shape what the energy code is going to look like.
Right.
And then the team also is responsible for disseminating and educating our customers
Right.
and industry stakeholders. So in my former role as on the codes and standards team, I actually used to oversee education and outreach, which is specific to the energy code. And I worked very closely hand in hand with my other IOU counterparts on the Energy Code ACE program, which was big on educating the industry on energy efficiency and the code. Now, going back to programs, some of the biggest successful programs that have been out there for homeowners specifically to address energy efficiency have been Energy Upgrade California, which has sunset, but that was a huge program that was meant to push energy efficiency on existing buildings, existing homes. And then also we had the CSI, California Solar Initiative. So that was a big program that was helping to, move the market with solar panel installation. And now, the cost of solar panels is like pennies, so the program did its job, right? The goal is to develop these programs that will help to move the market, to transform the market and get industry stakeholders, on board with what's happening and what's the up and moving technologies and design features and stuff like that. So we are actively working on programs that will help support building electrification. Right now, specific to homeowners, that would be existing homeowners. We do have some incentives for heat pumps, both for space conditioning and water heating. So those are the only programs that we have right now that are focused on decarbonization. But there's still programs on like smart thermostats. And now on battery storage, right? No, we're no longer offering solar incentives unless you're in like an affordable housing developer. But we are offering incentives for battery storage through our self-generation incentive program, which is very specific though. So right now, the focus is on those who are in high fire zones, as well as being, in deeded housing type of situation. If you have a water well, if you are on medical baseline, right, you have so that's what the focus is right now. And then they have, those are our larger programs, but then they have, smaller programs to help support the smart thermostat. If you do, as a homeowner, want to buy battery storage, there's a smaller rebate that you can get on that end. But they're working on a larger menu of programs currently. There's this huge transition that's happening right now from programs being managed by utilities themselves to being managed by third parties. So within, either Q3, Q4 of this year, you're going to see a lot more programs that are going to come online that are going to be very focused on GHG metrics. So yeah, a lot of stuff is going on right now.
That's actually quite exciting. It's an exciting time, and you said a few things that I want to clarify. So when you say incentives, are they mostly in the form of rebates? Because I just got $3,000 in rebates for my electric car, but I also utilize the energy upgrade programs, and I use the the Go Green financing. It's the loans that you can get to specifically do the financing. That's the California Energy Upgrade Program part of it. And so most of the incentives in terms of rebates, or what kind of incentives are there?
Yes, so most of the incentives are rebates.
Mhm.
Right now, there is work being done on whether, they really want to make the process as easy as possible for
Right.
homeowners.
Yeah.
So they are looking at, programs in which the incentive is being dealt with at the distributor
Right.
or contractor level
Right. I
instead of
see.
the homeowner or the
Right.
customer.
Mhm.
But yes, usually it's a discount on the pricing itself
Right. Right.
for situations like that. So the heat pumps themselves.
Right.
But then we have programs like our CLEAR program, which is for our wildfire rebuilds, or CAP,
Mm.
which is our California Advanced Homes program for new
Mhm.
construction residential.
Mhm. Mhm.
Those are programs that offer incentives once the projects are completed.
Right. Right.
So you would get a check once you finished and meet all the
I
requirements for
see.
the programs.
I see. And how about the federal tax uh, credit that, the solar installation? This is I think this is the last year that they were offering the 23% on the cost of the installation, I believe.
Yeah, no, I actually read, because I was looking into it myself
Mhm.
for solar and battery storage for my
Right.
own house, and it was supposed to change to drop to the
Right.
23% that
Uh-huh.
was supposed to sunset this year, but
Right.
actually they extended the 28%
Oh, wow.
until the end of 2022. So
Oh,
that's
wow.
still available for
Good.
homeowners that are installing their solar.
That's
Yes. Mhm.
great. That's a great news. I am so excited because I thought, oh, this is going to be the last year, the last chance
Yeah.
the solars install and get that tax incentives. And how about when you mentioned industry stakeholders a few times, who are the most actively, really active stakeholders currently, in your opinion, in your observation?
Well, my background is working with affordable housing developers,
Right.
and I would say that niche of builders and developers
Mhm.
are really, I think, because of their funding requirements, they
Right.
usually have to take that extra step
Right.
to be active with that,
Mhm.
right? So
Mhm.
I really think that they're pushing ahead of the game. You also have people who are building in jurisdictions that now have reach codes.
Right.
And so like Santa Monica is in our territory. They're actively, all of their new construction needs to be all electric.
Right.
So they're one that's also um, that's actively moving it. And then designers that are daring, that, want to push the edge.
Right. Right. Right.
So yeah.
Okay. Well, great. I really love to hear more about that a little bit, but I have more questions. I'm gonna
Yeah,
go.
no, it's okay. No worries. What do you want to know, Zumi? Tell me.
So, so how much of the Southern California Edison's power supply currently are renewable?
Interesting
From
enough, when
renewable
I did my
sources?
homework
Yeah.
on that data
Yeah.
point,
Yeah.
I was actually really surprised. So, Southern California Edison and Edison International release a sustainability report annually,
Uh-huh.
and based off of our 29 report, which
Uh-huh.
was released in June of 2020,
Uh-huh.
we were actually at 48% of our power supply was coming from carbon-free resources. And
Wow.
from within that,
Mhm.
73% was coming from renewable resources, because
Oh,
we
wow.
have, our hydro plants,
Right.
and,
Right.
we have our solar and our wind
Mhm. Mhm.
generation.
Mhm.
So 73% of it, 73% of the 48% is coming from renewable resources. But surprisingly enough, we were already at 46% before that. So we were already,
Yeah.
pushing the edge with how much power we were
Mhm.
providing that was coming from a
Mhm.
renewable source.
Right.
Um, but SCE's GHG emissions
Mhm.
was from our power supply was 45% less than the
Oh,
national average in 2019. So
wow.
that was nice to be
Yeah.
compared to,
Yeah.
other utilities. So that was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that you guys, meaning Edison, is working continuously to make that that percentage tip over, right?
Yes.
That's really great. So so you did already mention some of the programs that Edison offers. Is there anything that you didn't mention that you can think of that that Edison specifically offers? You mentioned the battery the storage and heat
Yes.
pump and smart
They
thermostat.
also have some rebates for, and of course, power shutoffs is no secret within our territory,
Mm-hmm.
especially with climate change and
Right,
wildfires. And so,
right.
some of the things that they are offering additional rebates on is portable power stations
Oh,
and
wow.
power generators for customers that have water wells.
I see.
So those are two additional ones that we
I
do
see.
have.
I see.
Um, and actually on our website, if you go to sce.com, we do have what's called an energy advisor.
Oh,
And have you seen that before on our
I
website?
think I actually tried to look for it and I don't know if I actually found it.
Okay. Well, I'll definitely have to share it with you, but
Yeah.
but basically what it is
Mm-hmm.
it's an online tool that kind of takes some of your information,
Mm-hmm.
what's your energy usage, or kind
Mm-hmm.
of understand your lifestyle,
Right.
and then it'll populate what are the best ways for the customer to conserve energy, which
Right.
would then
Right.
reduce their electric bill,
Right.
as well as what are potential rebate programs that are active that they could participate in.
Oh,
So
that's
it's a really nice tool to be able to
yeah.
utilize as a
Yeah.
homeowner.
Yeah. So do you know that all the other your competitors, or I don't know if you want to, maybe competitors, maybe not the right word, but PG&E or even LADWP, are you aware of similar programs that they're offering?
Yeah, so typically, for the most part,
Hmm.
all of the IOUs, the programs that we offer are statewide. So
Oh, I
they're
see.
generally rather similar.
I see.
Other than, we're only an electric utility versus SoCal Gas that's only a gas utility.
Yeah,
So
right,
they have incentives that are, primarily focused on gas end use appliances, where we
right,
would have incentives that are focused on
right.
electric end use
Yeah,
appliances. So
yeah.
that's really the only difference I can think
Hmm.
of. But for the most part, everybody's kind of consistent
Hmm.
with the programs that we're
Hmm.
offering right now. And we speak, everybody, all the different teams within Edison that are developing programs usually
Hmm.
have a counterpart
Right,
within the different other IOUs.
right,
And so
right.
they're actively, speaking and coordinating and collaborating on
Hmm.
developing the programs
Hmm.
themselves. So
Yeah,
it's a pretty collective effort amongst all of the utilities for the
that's
most part.
very encouraging. So I'm curious, in the light of now we're looking at electrifying, what are the gas utilities doing? What's the role that they're playing in this decarbonizing climate?
Well, I don't work for the gas companies,
Right,
so I can't really speak to
right.
what their goals are, but there's
Mhm.
definitely a place for gas within decarbonization,
Right.
and the conversation, right? You really
Yeah,
need to have both sides of
right,
the discussion and both sides of the table in this
right,
space,
right,
because it's going to take time
right.
to either electrify buildings,
Yeah,
existing and or new. And
yeah,
so there still is a pipeline of work that's going to have gas to buildings,
right.
but there, from what I've heard, right, in other events and workshops that I've heard,
Mhm.
renewable natural gas is something that they're really looking at.
Oh, wow.
Um and I think, what was the other one? Hydro
Right.
alarm I'm
Geothermal.
hydrogen
Yeah,
is another one.
hydrogen. Oh, I see. Uh-huh.
Yes, yes. So both of those, I believe, are two things that they're really actively looking at.
Yeah,
And everybody has to come to the table with something, and it's just
yeah,
a matter of
yeah.
how what will be the best option to support
Hmm.
our community members, homeowners, building owners,
Right.
as we move forward in
Yeah,
fighting and addressing this climate crisis, because it's a
yeah,
crisis now,
yeah,
right? It's
yeah,
not, I mean, we're all experiencing these extreme temperatures, and so we have to take an active role in how
yeah,
we're going to address this.
yeah.
And I think everybody has to come to the table with a way of how they're going to address it.
I
So
agree.
Yeah, both parts of the conversation,
Yeah,
both ends of the utilities need to be there to have the
yeah,
conversation. It's just a
yeah.
matter of how is it going to be done? What are the realistic ways of doing it?
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, because as a real estate agent, I talk to a lot of homeowners and, home buyers, and there's still a little bit of resistance to electrifying your kitchen,
Oh yeah.
people love to cook with the gas. So, if the gas companies are doing what they're doing, it kind of, there's a hope, I think, And
Well,
so
yeah.
yeah.
I just I wish communication and messaging wasn't so fear-based sometimes,
Right,
but it's kind of like history repeats itself. We're
right.
going back to the gold medallion,
Yeah,
all electric
yeah,
homes,
yeah.
where, I mean, if we were to have to go use a coil stove, that probably wouldn't be the best nowadays, right? But
Right.
with the technologies that are out there,
Exactly.
the induction cooktop really
Mhm.
is an amazing appliance.
Yes.
I got the opportunity to be able to showcase it at our all hands meeting for our leadership
Mhm.
last year, and we were melting chocolate and dipping strawberries
Oh
and
my
different things
god.
in there,
Yeah,
and you could literally lift the pan
yeah,
and not burn yourself, because as
right,
soon as the pan is off of
right.
the cooktop, then it's no longer heated.
Exactly. I
It
know.
only heats
Right.
the steel surface that it's touching, right?
Yeah.
And for me, that actually is really important. We spend a lot of time in the kitchen. I'm not the best cook, but I try. And especially now with COVID,
Yeah,
we do spend a lot of time in the kitchen, and my
right.
husband does as well. And our kids really love to be with us there. And our kitchen
Mm,
setup is where the stove is actually the center of the kitchen.
yeah,
So we have a little bench that they can hop up on, and they help us when we're
yeah,
prepping food. and
yeah.
and so their face is literally in the
In the
stove.
stove, yeah.
So anything that's being emitted from the stove is going straight into their nostrils and
Right,
into their,
right.
their lungs. And
Yeah.
so I am definitely concerned about that.
Mhm.
But also the biggest thing is them potentially getting burned,
Yeah,
right? They
yeah,
want to touch everything and
yeah,
whatnot. And so if I'm able to quickly take something off and the surface is immediately cooled, then
yeah,
there's no potential for them or
right.
myself, because I could be clumsy at times, to get burned.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. so that is one thing that I really look forward to. And you can definitely, I know that there's hesitation.
Yeah,
Obviously people don't like to be told you can't do this anymore.
right.
The whole movement with decarbonization isn't really meant to break into people's homes and rip out their
Right.
stoves or rip out their gas and use appliances. No, I mean, we
Yeah,
want you to be able to do it willingly when
yeah,
you have the proper education and
exactly,
resources at your fingertips to
exactly,
really understand what is the purpose of it, right?
exactly. Yeah.
And what role you play as a homeowner.
Mhm,
Lifestyle has a huge impact on
mhm.
energy usage,
Yeah,
and it needs to be modified in order to really address and take responsibility for what is happening to our environment. And if we don't start now and we wait, it's going to be worse than what it is now, right? And so
I am totally with you.
I get my own resistance from my family members.
Yeah.
We're currently doing a remodel at my house,
Uh-huh.
and it's been ongoing, like from my first pregnancy 5 years ago. It's like when I get pregnant, I really nest, and I go to the extreme of doing remodels. So the
Sure.
first pregnancy, we did this whole remodel of the house, because
Yeah.
the house we live in is actually my grandparents,
Oh,
and
wow.
it was built in the 60s, so no insulation in the walls. It had a central furnace. There was like
Wow.
no upgrades to nothing.
Yeah.
And I I was not going to deal with SoCal heat while I was pregnant. So
Right,
I was like, we're getting central air conditioning, and it's going to be a heat pump.
right.
And so I got that installed.
Uh-huh.
But just making little things. And so now we're at a point where we're kind of remodeling the garage to make it like a workout space for us.
All right.
But and actually another closet for me, but anyway. Right. But I want to insulate the walls. I didn't get to do that last time. I want to
Mhm,
do it now.
mhm.
And it's a priority for me. And so my
Sure.
husband and I were having that conversation on budget
Yeah,
for our do it yourself project.
yeah.
And that's a high priority for me. It
Sure.
may not be for him, but
Yeah.
he understands,
Right.
I know you're an energy efficient person. You're a greenie. I know that's so important for you. But he still doesn't fully understand. Right.
Right.
And my
Yeah.
dad's in construction. He kind of
Yeah.
gives me pushback too, but
Yeah.
it's important. I mean,
Yeah.
I really want to minimize
Yeah.
my HVAC load, right?
Right. Yeah.
And have the thermal comfort in my house
Exactly.
365 days a year.
Exactly.
um, I think I've been experiencing it a lot more now that I've been working from home,
Right.
because our bedrooms are on the north side of the house,
Mm-hmm.
and there's no insulation in the walls. And it could be a
Oh,
beautiful 80-degree day outside, and I'm
yeah.
literally freezing in my
Yeah.
room,
Yeah.
because there's no insulation in the walls.
Right. Right.
So it's even more of a driving force now for me to
Yeah.
make those
Yeah.
upgrades.
And it's important for you to get that done before you put the panels on your roof, right?
Yes. So yeah, people are, want to be on the solar panel bandwagon. And I
Exactly.
get it. I
Yeah.
get it. You want to be environmentally conscious, you want
Yeah.
to do your role.
Yeah.
But honestly, for me, if somebody were to ask me, what would you do first?
Yeah.
Energy efficiency is always the first thing you should do,
Exactly. Yeah.
because you want to reduce your home load or your home energy load
Right.
before you put on panels, because you may be
Exactly.
putting on 3, 4, 5 extra panels that you
Ex-
may not even need,
Exactly.
because you're reducing your load first, right? So
Yeah.
you're putting in insulation.
Yeah.
I'm putting in a radiant barrier in my attic.
Mm-hmm.
That plays a huge role, right?
Yeah.
You're cooling down your attic where your HVAC ducts are.
Yeah.
Having good windows. We did that on another one of our remodel revisions. Having efficient, heating and cooling system,
Right.
which is with our heat pump.
Right.
Um, our water heater, that's next on the list to
Yeah.
change
Me
it
too.
over to a heat
Me
pump
too.
water heater, but making sure, right?
Yeah.
Making sure that you have these things. And also, appliances in general, right? I had a family member who came to me one time, and they were like, "Hey, Ruby, does an $800 utility bill sound like right to you?" And I'm like, $800? What are you doing in the house? And he's like, "Nothing, like we turn off lights, and they couldn't understand it. He's like, "We don't have air conditioning."
Right.
And I was like, "Oh my God, no, there's something wrong. Maybe
Yeah.
somebody's tapping into your power.
Yeah.
I have no idea."
Yeah.
So I said, maybe you really need to check. Like, do you have any extra appliances in your house, in your
Yeah.
garage? Right? We have extra, potentially people have extra refrigerators or
Refrigerator.
freezers in their garage, and it's always their old one,
Right.
right? It's
Right.
always the old one.
Yeah.
And what they don't realize is that those are very inefficient appliances. And so
Right.
that's what happened. They
Yeah.
had a really old freezer in the
In the
garage
garage.
that was just killing their plug load, right? That was just super
Yeah.
consuming energy.
Yeah.
And as soon as they unplugged it, boom, it was down to about $150.
Oh my God.
Yes.
That's
So
amazing. Yeah.
being conscious of those things is so,
Mhm.
so important, and just lifestyle in general,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I know we say turning off lights, but plug loads is also a really big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Making sure that you're shutting down your computers,
Right.
turning off your TVs, turning off your cable boxes.
Yeah.
All of that should be completely shut down if you're not using it, because that's just, what they call a
Mm-hmm.
vampire plug load,
Right.
that is just running, and you're
Yeah.
not even using it,
Yeah.
and you're getting charged for it.
Yeah.
So it's best to at least educate yourself on that,
Right.
right? And
Exactly.
understand how you can best address those
Yeah.
issues.
So by the way, you just answered my next questions, right?
Uh,
You, yeah,
I
other
know, I
than
was thinking about it, and I was like, should I wait?
no, other than like what we already know, like changing your light bulb and getting the Energy Star appliances, and those are the things that we don't really think about, to like turn off your computer. Like, I used to have all my devices plugged in all the time, unless I am
Mhm.
with, I'm walking away, going out with it, and all my power strips are on all the time, even if there's nothing on it,
Yeah.
right? And it's like you said, it's a lifestyle, but it's more of a behavioral change that that we
Yes.
have to kind of be really mindful about. So
Actually, sorry, really quick,
yeah,
Zumi. Speaking of that, I was just thinking, lifestyle.
yeah,
Lifestyle's huge. Being able to modify your lifestyle to
yeah,
reduce your energy load is really
yeah,
how you're going to do it, right?
yeah,
And one of the things is, I said that there was the rebate for the smart thermostats,
right.
but those are really amazing tools to really help you, right?
Mhm.
The smart thermostat is learning the schedule for its
Right.
inhabitants,
Yeah,
and once it has it down, then it's like heating and cooling it as needed. It's
yeah,
not constantly heating, it's not
right.
constantly cooling.
Yeah.
And then through Edison, we do have a program which I'm enrolled in, which is our energy savings program, where
Right.
whenever there's going to be an event where they need to, drop load,
Hmm.
because the grid is being overworked,
Right.
then you get a notification that, hey, we're going to monitor your temperature. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's nothing excessive. They'll bring
Hmm.
you up to like 78 degrees, which you kind of should be at anyways.
Right.
Or they'll drop, but then they heat it and cool it as needed.
Right.
So that's another program. When you were asking about rebates and
Yeah.
incentives, that's
Right.
actually another program where you
Yeah.
can get a savings on your bill if you
Right.
participate in programs like that.
Do you
Yeah.
need to have the smart meter to have that program? Do you know?
That's a good question. I don't know off of the top of my head. I'm
Right.
not quite sure. I would assume so, because I
Right.
think that's how the utility company is talking to your
Yeah.
equipment.
Yeah.
But I'm not 100% sure. I'll
Yeah.
definitely look into that for you, though.
I would look into that as well. Okay, so last question.
Hmm.
You are active with, this is kind of like, going back to the first question. You're active with builders and developers, in educating them.
Hmm.
So what's the incentives that we can find to motivate them? Like you were talking about the affordable housing and lower income housing. There's a lot of it seems like there's a lot of incentives or programs to incentivize the builders, but what I'm always frustrated with is the middle range market, home
Hmm.
market. And there's a lot of builders and flippers who are building and flipping, and that's the kind of market that I have been trying to reach. Do you have any idea how we could incentivize? Are you aware of any programs or systems that can incentivize them, or how to educate them or promote to them?
Yeah. So for builders,
Mhm.
and developers that are doing new construction, right? So new single family tract homes,
Right,
new affordable housing multifamily, or
right.
just regular market rate multifamily,
Mhm.
we do have our California Advanced Homes program.
Mhm.
And that has program has been around for years. I actually used to push my past clients through it,
Mhm. Mhm.
and help them gain money for the additional energy efficiency measures that they were doing.
Right.
That program used to be
Mhm.
both offered for dual fuel and all electric homes.
Okay.
Obviously, with the code, going all electric until the 2019 code was not beneficial and didn't really work out for
I
most
see.
builders and developers, right?
I see.
Because if
Uh-huh.
you had gas to the site,
Right.
then the most cost effective, which programs are based off of cost effectiveness,
Sure.
the most cost effective option was
Right.
to have gas in
Right.
the building.
Right.
So you could not do all electric, was not really an option for
Right.
most builders that were trying to gain compliance with the
Right.
energy code.
Right.
Right now, given the change in focus of
Yeah.
decarbonization,
Yeah.
um, Southern California Edison is the only utility right now that is offering the California Advanced Homes program for new construction only, and for all electric homes, meaning no gas to site. So no gas fire pits, no gas barbecue. If it's multifamily, no gas to your central water heating system.
Right. Yeah.
Everything has to be an electric end use appliance.
Wow.
Um, and there's a lot of great resources out there that can help guide
Mhm.
anybody who's interested in that.
Mhm.
There's a peer, Sean, with Redwood Energy. They just came out with this amazing all electric home guide. There's one for both single family and multifamily.
Wow.
Edison has also released a case study book on all electric homes as well. And I
Mhm.
believe they're in the process of developing another one.
Okay.
So there are some resources out there.
Okay.
But going back to the rebates, so there's the California Advanced Homes rebate,
Right.
and that right now is $2,000 per lot or $1,000 per unit for multifamily.
Wow.
Um,
That's significant.
Now, if you're talking, yeah, it can be
Yeah.
if you're doing a lot of them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If you're a builder that's doing a whole track, then
Right.
that's great. If you're doing multifamily, that's great. But for like a single family home where you're flipping it and doing a
Yeah.
completely gut rehab, right? Which would
Yeah.
then, if you're pulling permit, it's considered new construction.
Yeah.
That's $2,000 that you would get
Right.
towards
Yeah.
that project.
Yeah.
So that could help offset any upgrades that you're doing with appliances. But right now, that program is currently being transitioned to be a statewide program managed by
Wow.
PG&E,
Wow.
and they are in the process of developing it with a third party. Um, uh, oh my God, I'm slipping. A third party implementer
Right.
who will help to run the program. So
Okay.
once that program comes into play, which will be
Mhm.
either end of Q3 or Q4 this year,
Uh-huh.
Edison will no longer be offering ours.
Okay.
But there may be the option that all electric is included in that. I want to say it probably will be, but
Yeah.
I don't want to speak out of
Right.
term.
Right.
I don't know the details of the new program just
Yeah.
yet, but I'm
Wow.
crossing my fingers that it does
Yeah,
have
me too. I'm
incentives for
crossing
all
my
electric
fingers
homes.
too.
Yeah.
Wow, this was so great. I have so many more things I want to talk to you about, but we're running out of time. So thank
It's
you
all
so
good.
much, Ruby. Where could we find you? Could people find you, or where would be the best resource for regular homeowners or home dwellers, like anybody can go to find information that they can learn more about different incentives or different ways of reducing their energy bill. Do you have any recommendation?
So on our website on SCE.com, if you look under, being a homeowner, there should
Mhm.
be a guide for energy efficiency or a
Okay.
guide for all electric homes. If you
Okay.
go to that webpage, that actually has a pretty extensive amount of information that,
Yeah.
a customer can use or homeowner
Okay.
use on that.
Okay.
They also have a page just for rebates. So
Oh,
you
yeah.
can find our rebate page and see if there's anything that's applicable for you.
Yeah. I've been
But
to
there's
that one.
other places too, right?
Yeah.
So, CARB has a lot of information as
Mhm.
well.
Mhm.
Um, uh, what are some other ones? I'm a big LinkedIn junkie.
Yeah.
So if they ever need anything, they can find me on LinkedIn under
That's
Ruby Rose
great. Yeah.
Yepez.
Mhm.
I am there. And actively reading and sharing information in that
Mhm.
space. But
That's
also
a good
Southern
idea.
California Edison, we as I mentioned, we coordinate and collaborate with other IOUs on the Energy Code ACE
Mhm.
platform.
Yeah.
And so that's an amazing, literally hands off to the team that develops that content. It
Mm.
really is some
Mhm.
amazing trainings and workshops. There's both online, on demand resources and guides to really diving deep into the energy code. And then also, there's the REN networks. 3C REN has some really amazing resources and workshops as well.
Okay.
And let's see, what else do I dive into? Um, I don't know, podcasts always have so much great content, and just really hearing those live conversations
Yeah.
between people and their experiences,
Yeah.
I think really goes a long way. Um, but Edison, we also have our Energy Education Center. So we
Right.
have our
Right.
workforce and education and training team,
Right.
and the codes and standards works very closely with them in putting out content
Mhm.
and trainings to help
Mhm.
educate our customers
Right.
on energy efficient measures. What can you do to your
Yeah.
home? Obviously a lot of the focus right now is on all electric compliance, because that's now a feasible option that didn't really exist before
Right.
through the energy code.
Yeah.
So, a lot of the content that's being developed is focused on that. Although there's a comparison between, what if you did want to do fossil fuel versus all electric? Like, let's really compare and really understand,
Yeah.
what the options are, having choice in that. So, there's that. So there's a multitude,
There-
but you know,
there's a lot of
AIA
information.
also, I know you've been to one of the workshops that I hosted back in the
Yeah,
day. You know, AIA chapters really have some great content as
right.
well.
Yeah,
That's a good space to be in as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Ruby. This was so great. I'm so
Thank you, Azumi. I
thank you.
really appreciate you inviting me, especially in March, you
Yeah,
know, right after International Women's Day. So I'm so
I
lucky and
know.
blessed
I
to
am
be here and
excited.
share this with you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, thank you so much, everyone. This is Izumi Tanaka with Home Green Homes. And thank you again, Ruby. And until next time.